not going to take up any space at all. So I think you'll be fine.
My problem is I have no space. It's not like that thing's massive. I just need a spot to put it where I can also have easy access to the tablet. Like, this isn't something you're gonna hide.
Yeah. No, I think the idea of them showing it in the trailer, how it's like always like right by their TV, and then they just pick it up like on your entertainment center or whatever. That'd probably be the ideal spot for most people, if I had to guess.
It's not like it's gonna sit in your next to your nightstand like my 3DS does. It's gonna be an integral part of the entertainment system. Let's get Audacity rolling.
Cool. Hit that in 3, 2, 1.
Click.
So there's that.
We should activate our toolbox because we both don't have that active.
I forgot about that.
Next, white. Choose. Flip. Oh, that's what I call a spicy logo. Spicy memes. Did you tweet out the show?
Yep.
Okay.
There's my name for the episode.
Ooh, look at that hashtag trend.
Yeah, we're trending it, baby.
Oh, did you watch the Wolverine trailer?
Yeah, that was going to be the first thing I brought up because it's the most notable thing that happened today.
Hey, that trailer
It was really good. It's really good. They're replacing... In the comic book, Hawkeye kind of has the role that it looks like Professor X is going to have in this movie.
Hawkeye, like Avengers Hawkeye?
Yeah.
What? Oh, okay. Weird.
And the Old Man Logan comic, that's who he like buddies around with, is Hawkeye. Because everybody else is like dead.
Apparently, I have no idea. I do not know anything about the storyline of this movie.
I think it's going to be vastly different. It's going to be similar in tone.
I couldn't care less. I love the X-Men movies.
The fact that he's popping his claws, though, means it's like totally different from the comic, because he doesn't do that in the comic until the very last issue. He's like a pacifist because he kills all of the X-Men.
What? Why would he kill the X-Men?
A couple mind control people in Mysterio from Spider-Man. They trick him up to make him think that villains are attacking the X-Mansion, and he kills all of them. And then they cut the illusion, and they actually trick them into thinking that the X-Men were villains, and he killed all of them. So he never pops his claws again.
That's messed up.
Until the very last issue, and then he wrecks some people, and it's really cool.
I love Wolverine.
I like him too. I'm hoping it's gonna be good. That one will be good. I feel good about that one. But X-Men Apocalypse is hot duty. I really
X-Men Apocalypse is mediocre at best, but Days of Future Past and First Class
those are good.
Top notch.
I like X2 a lot as well still.
Even though it's like bad, like I do like the Wolverine movie just because of the exploration of the character Wolverine.
Which one, the Japanese one or the
both?
Bad
but
one.
I was talking about Origins. I was talking about
you like Origins?
I do, just like as like a Wolverine thing. I don't care about his brother or like how they screwed up Deadpool.
Yeah, Hugh
Jackman's Wolverine. The Japanese one I also enjoy. Wolverine is just the bomb. I love him. Cannot wait. All
right, cool. I'm gonna start this.
All right,
yeah.
Get some water.
Yeah. That NX song, so good. See, I told you I was gonna call it NX. What's up, everybody? Welcome to our reaction to the Nintendo Switch, because that's a thing now that we can talk about in the open. Because they finally shut it off. I'm gonna close our doc we got up here, Max. I've kind of got my own list that I'm gonna try to.
No,
not that I'm going to stick to, but just my own list of.
Like I have two. I have the list I made, which I figured would be an outline of like the talking points. And then off on my notes page, I have my own personal notes with like my thoughts on each particular section.
I was just gonna wing it at first, and then we would get into like more of a structure.
I made this. It's my baby.
It's okay. We'll come back to it at some point. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. Cool. There we go. I'm ready to go if you are.
Yep. Let me just.
We're recording episode 64 a week early, sort of, kind of, because we got nothing else to do tonight, so we felt like recording a podcast. So why not? Why the heck not?
Yeah, this will be up later.
This will be up. I may put this one. Maybe we'll put this one up early.
I was gonna crank this one out.
Yeah, may as well. While there's fervent NX fever or Switch fever, whatever, put it out for people to listen to.
Yep. All right. You ready?
Sure. I'm ready. I think. Let's go.
Okay. Bro.
Gonna start talking about the new system that the Nintendo made. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. And 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to episode number 64 of Millennial Gaming Speak. It's a very special episode this week. Kind of, sort of. We're recording early because something special happened that we'll talk about here in just 1 second. But with me this week, as always, is Max Roberts. Max, hey.
This is an emergency recorded session of Millennial Gaming Speak.
We made it a numbered episode too.
I
didn't know if we would do that.
Code Red Alpha 5.
Code Red Alpha 5.
This is the most important news of the day.
What would the actual call sign be for that? If it was NX, what is the actual call signs for that in the military? So it's like Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo.
I don't know if N and X have call signs.
They do. There's an A through Z.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not a military
Neither
guy.
am I. I do not know.
Not an army guy, so I wouldn't know this.
Xenomorph. Napoleon.
Napoleon Xenomorph. I don't know if that's right, but we'll go with it.
Okay. This is the most exciting news of the day, and this is in light of a Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer and the Logan.
No, it is Wolverine the Logan trailer. That's what we're here to break down. We're here to break down the Logan trailer, Max. What did you think of it? What did you think of Old Man Logan?
Holy cow, he looks good with a beard. Very old. Looks good. Professor Xavier looking especially old.
He is. He always does though, but he looks really, really old.
This is super old. This is old. If this is Old Man Logan, this is Old Man Xavier.
A bunch of O's, bunch of L's.
Cannot wait to see that movie. I love the X-Men films, all of them, even though a few of them have issues.
Some of them suck.
Like Origins, Apocalypse,
X3, The Last Stand, X-Men 3, The Last Stand.
I've only seen that one twice.
It's not good.
The only thing I remember vividly about that movie is the whole final moment where Wolverine is walking towards
Jean and
his body is his body is disintegrating and he has to stab her in the gut. That is the only part I vividly remember from that movie.
Now that we're actually talking about it, it's really weird that Hugh Jackman is going to be done playing Wolverine because he's been Wolverine almost our entire lives. For reference,
cinematic Wolverine for our entire lives.
He's been the only cinematic Wolverine, and he's also the reason
he's been in every X-Men movie except Apocalypse.
He wasn't in Apocalypse, or wasn't there a cameo or something like that?
Not in Apocalypse. He made a cameo in First Class, which was hilarious.
I don't know. I feel like
I don't think he was in Apocalypse.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I can't remember. I kind of flushed that whole movie out of my memory.
It's Apocalypse, which probably explains why Apocalypse is so mediocre. It didn't have any Wolverine in it.
Yeah, well, Wolverine's supposed to be one of the Horsemen in the comics. Later on, he becomes one of the Horsemen. So that actually would have been really cool if they could have done that. The reason I'm thinking about this though is because the original X-Men was the first PG-13 movie I think my parents ever let me go see. I was like 6, and
Oh goodness.
I was really into the
X-Men.
cartoon back then because there was the animated series on, and I was like, hey, you guys have to let me go see this. You have to let me go see this. And they're like, no, we can't. And eventually one night my dad was like, you want to go see X-Men?
When
I was
did it
like,
come out?
yes. I think it was 2000. So I would
Okay,
have been
so that
6.
definitely was before episode 3 then.
Yes. So I just kept asking my dad, and I think my dad like looked into it to make sure that it wasn't gonna like, I don't know, scar
Corrupt
me for
you.
life or something. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. And eventually he's like, okay, we'll go see it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I thought it was like the coolest movie I'd ever seen in my life.
I frankly remember X-Men being, if you think about it, X-Men is like the Marvel movie that kind of kicked it all off. That or Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, those were the first two, that and Spider-Man.
Like look where we are now.
It was really Batman that kind of kicked things off back in '89. That was really what
like
did it all.
Batman has always been prevalent in media and TV and film ever since the Adam West series.
Yeah.
Batman is, and Superman, like DC characters have kind of been special. Wonder Woman had her own TV show. I do like Hulk had his own TV show. So
Hulk had his own TV show, and Flash did as well.
Thor, I believe, had one.
No, Thor never had a TV show. That'd be awesome if he did.
Wasn't okay, but Thor made an appearance somewhere.
You may be thinking of like Hercules or something like that. There's like
because there's pictures of old green painted man Hulk with Thor, so maybe Thor showed up in an episode.
Maybe that doesn't seem right to me though. I've never heard of that. That's news to me at least, and I'm supposed to be the comic guy on this show. That'd be news to me if that was the case. But
original Hulk TV show.
Max is Googling things. Like,
oh yeah. All right, so here we go. It's called The Incredible Hulk.
It's called The Incredible Hulk, starring Lou Ferrigno.
Thor.
I don't think Thor was.
Here we go. You ready? It's The Incredible Hulk Returns. This is.
That is. There used to be an Incredible Hulk cartoon.
It was written by Stan Lee, so we know he wrote it. It was 100 minutes. This was a movie, apparently. This is called The Incredible Hulk Returns. It was released in May 22nd, 1998. And it serves as a continuation of the Incredible Hulk TV show. Here's the synopsis. In The Incredible Hulk Returns, Dr. David Banner, a scientist who transforms into a green-skinned superhuman monster when enraged, believes he has found a potential cure for his condition, but he is sabotaged by the inexplicable rival of the arrogant warrior god Thor, who has been banished from Valhalla. The two then team up to battle a rising criminal organization.
What? This sounds awful. This is awful. They must have hid this pretty well. This is like, there was a Fantastic Four movie, right? Like before Fantastic Four. Did you know that?
Wait, are you talking about?
It's from the 90s. There's a 90s
before Captain America was the Human Torch?
Yes, before that Fantastic Four series. There's a 90s Fantastic Four movie, and it's one of the worst films of all time. It was so bad that when they finished filming it and they showed it to Marvel, Marvel said, you are not allowed to release this. So they didn't release it. I can see it there on your... That looks really awful.
Doesn't it? It looks so cheesy. It's the 80s, though. Anyway,
so that's Marvel
superheroes
talk
are cool.
For the week.
Logan, super stoked. March of next year. Do you know what else comes out March next year?
Spring training will be starting. I think the Cubs will be getting going.
College basketball, March Madness.
It's usually about the last 2 weeks.
And right. So that's that's another March thing. A lot of people like St. Patrick's Day.
March is a pretty good month. I think March and October.
Chicago. Oh, you know what else? Mass Effect Andromeda is rumored to come out in March.
Supposedly, that would be fun.
Rumored. I think people in Chicago dye their river green or something.
No, we do that in Indianapolis too. We did not deny it. We dye the canal green. The canal downtown Indianapolis.
You did dye it. You don't deny
deny.
You don't deny dyeing it.
No, I don't.
That's good. You're killing.
I like how we're just taking so long to get to what the actual news of this.
People know the topic, it's clearly listed.
They just want us to immediately shut up and talk about it. So maybe we should do that. Maybe we should switch lanes, Max. What do you say to that?
I don't know. Should we move on to our NX topic? Next topic.
These are some really bad transitions.
It was like that was a weird pun in my head because I could see it in the written form, and then I had to convey it into the spoken form.
It's like when we were making the VR puns a couple episodes ago. With whatever we were saying, I can't remember.
I'm better at written puns, the visual pun, than the spoken pun, which is probably something I should craft and get better at.
Nah, you're supposed to be a writer, so that's good that you'd be good at writing puns, I guess. Let's talk about the news, though. So late last night, Mario creepered into all of our Twitter feeds like a freaking child molester or something like that, and he's like, "Hey, little boy, come over here. I got an NX to show you. It's in my pocket." And so when we woke up,
all the little boys came running behind the curtain.
We did all come running.
I think the first thing I want to mention right off the bat, literally hours before that happened, I text you saying, the rumors have been floating on. I said on episode 63, a lot of people were saying NX would be this week. And I texted you earlier that day and said, I have a feeling that NX is tomorrow. I'm going to be at work. And when I come out of work, NX is going to be a thing. And then a few hours later, you sent me the screen cap of this tweet.
It didn't make sense for them to announce it that late. It was like 10 o'clock at night when this happened.
So weird. Like, they should have announced it that morning.
Now, I'm wondering if it was like a Japan thing. Like, if it was that late for us, was it like morning in Japan?
It was it was morning in Japan because the NX reveal was at 11 p.m. in Japan. Okay. So maybe, I guess it was an all-day hype cycle in Japan.
Yeah, that was the reason you said, I think we see NX tomorrow. And I'm like, dude, we would have heard something by now. Because you texted me that and it was like 6:30 or 7.
Like all the rumors were saying, and I just felt like tomorrow was the day, even though Red Dead was also today.
Yeah. So we seen the NX. We seen it. We done saw it now. Sort of.
The NX.
Okay, so we did. There goes my phone. It's buzzing. We did finally get to see, though, what
they did a preview trailer, concept trailer.
Preview trailer. That's what they call it.
Yeah. They've done these before for the Wii, the 3DS, and the Wii U. I don't know if you went back. Did you go back and watch them?
I remembered
for context.
I didn't even need to watch the Wii U one. I especially remembered.
I went back and watched all three of them. And I remember the Wii U and 3DS one, like upon review, like rewatching them, I remembered them vividly. I did not remember the Wii one. I don't even know if I've ever seen it, but the Wii one was really well done, I thought. And I thought this one today did a very similar job of like actually showing what the thing's gonna do. But yeah, so it was a 3-minute preview trailer for the Nintendo Switch. Is the name?
Yes. Before we get into it. I just wanted to say, because I said this to you, and I feel like I should obviously restate it on the show as we're recording. I think it is weak on Nintendo. Okay, personally, let me first say this. I like what we saw today. It has piqued my interest. I'm would it be interested in this machine.
Optimistic, or even more on the side of just plain optimism? Like not
I'm cautiously optimistic because I feel like all of their, like you mentioned the other preview trailers, all of their other preview trailers, they make their machines look fantastic as well. So maybe this one, it'll be the same thing. We get it in our hands. And
I do have to say the Wii U one is surprisingly weak. Like the Wii U one doesn't even focus on games at all.
I thought the Wii U one was interesting.
I think it showed off the gamepad's initial potential, but it didn't really focus on games. It actually focused a lot on multimedia and like FaceTiming people and watching different content on it. It was the Wii U one reminded me actually a lot of the Xbox One's initial reveal, where the Xbox One was very entertainment focused.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So think out of the bunch, I think the Wii U one was the weakest.
This was a strong one, and from what I have seen, I do like it. But at this point, and I told you this before we went on, to the date we are recording this, October 20th, we have almost known this NX like preview cycle or whatever you want to freaking call it by this point. We have almost known of the existence of the NX for 20 months. I think the first time Nintendo talked about it was in March 2015. It was like March 18th or 19th, something in there. That was when we first heard them actually call it the NX, and where they openly said, we're developing a new console. So it's been about 20 months, and all we got today was a 3-minute trailer, which kind of sucked. I'm not a huge fan of that. I wish they would just give us more at this point. And what we got today was cool. Again, I'm not trying to be like super negative about this, but I wish they would have shown more. I wish they could have had a proper reveal for this thing. And I also wish they still would have done this 2 or 3 months ago, because I think it was a huge misstep that they didn't pounce on this around E3. I still don't understand why they didn't do this at E3. I really don't. I think that was a perfect opportunity. And heck, if they just wanted to show today's 3-minute trailer, and they, like I mentioned to you, if they wanted to just slap that onto the end of their event at E3, I don't think that would have been a bad idea for them. I don't. I think they waited too long. And as I told you, like those leaks that happened in July, I even pulled it up earlier. We had an episode number 52, I think, was called "Do We Know What the NX Is?" And pretty much everything we talked about on that show has now come true today.
Conceptually, yes. Every leak pretty much nailed it on the head.
So those leaks in July, it turned out to be, were all correct. So we practically got news of what the console was secondhand back in July. And I think if they would have got out ahead of that and they would have shown us this trailer first, people would be freaking out even more today than they already are. Me especially.
You're probably right. I was telling you, I do think since those leaks happened, we had a pretty good idea of what the console could be. And those concepts were something I particularly really was interested in. So having that stuff confirmed for me kind of just solidified that excitement and really made it grounded and real, brought a sense of tangibility to it, especially seeing the actual close to final retail product, which was pretty cool. I do agree. I wish it was sooner, not so much from the fact of like leaks and things like that, but they now they have 5 months until this thing is supposed to come out. They stuck to a March 2017 window.
Yeah, which was surprising to me.
Which they've only got 5 months now, not to craft a campaign, because they've clearly been crafting something, but they've got 5 months to advertise and sell this thing. And it's going to be very interesting to see Nintendo on the fast track. This reminds me a lot of the Fallout 4 reveal, except this is with a console.
This is with a console. This is
and I don't think
unprecedented.
I don't think a console has had an initial reveal, like seeing the product, or like a public showing. Sure, we've known that it's existed, but a public showing to launch in 5 months. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Maybe like the Sega Saturn, when I think when they announced that, they said it was in stores the same day, and retailers were like, "What are you talking about? It is." So
it's
there's been like things like that before, but that was like 20 years ago. This is going
to be very interesting to see Nintendo hopefully hound after it.
Yeah. So again, like if you've listened to the show, the one thing I've harped on Nintendo about forever, though, is that I think they really do struggle with marketing and crafting their message with these products. And so this is why I have been
Wii marketing was fantastic.
But I'm talking, it's been like 7 or 8 years since I think they've really done well and got out ahead of what they need to be talking about with their products and things like that. Like the Wii U was confusing. The new Nintendo 3DS is confusing. Like they released
I disagree about the new Nintendo 3DS. This is
as somebody who worked at GameStop, I disagree with you, because I can't tell you how many times I had to explain, well, what is the difference here? I don't understand. Like to us, it makes sense, but to the average consumer, it doesn't.
Because they've been doing iterative handheld hardware since the Game Boy Advance.
I agree.
Actually, the Game Boy Color.
It's still confusing because people come in. I couldn't tell you, working at GameStop, how many times people came in. They said, "I'd like to buy a 3DS," and I'd say, "Okay, which one?" Because we have the new Nintendo 3DS and we have this. What's a new Nintendo 3DS? And I try to explain it, and they wouldn't understand.
It's more powerful
to us gamer guys. To us gamer guys, it makes sense, but to the average mom coming into GameStop, like can't wrap their head around it.
Speaking to the consumer, the first time we see a commercial for this thing on TV, say it shows a snippet of what we saw today, this is clearly not related to the Wii whatsoever.
No, and that is the best thing about it.
And that is very strong. That's already off to a strong foot. There is no confusion that this is a new Nintendo hardware.
What if it would have been the Switch? SWIITCH. How'd you
No.
feel about that?
No, I mean, sure, wordplay there and the pun, but no, they've smartly left the Wii brand behind,
Yes.
specifically the Wii U brand. Which is,
They need to start over. They really do
and they
because
do, and this is a refresh. This is clearly the next step for them, and I'm
it's
excited.
kind of weird because it's kind of a restart, but it's also like this looks like Wii U 2. Like everybody's been
This
saying
is what the
today,
Wii U should have
that's
been,
what
or at
everybody's
least
been saying all day. This is what the Wii U should have been. That has been the hot take that
the hot
everybody has had
take.
today.
But kind of back just a little bit to the timeline of things. I think the way it's going to play out, at least initially here, is we've got our preview today. Tuesday, I believe, is the stockholder meeting, the financial
Yes.
meeting, which I think
And
I think we're gonna get a price.
can I
From
actually
that.
touch on that for a second too? Like, I think the other thing that annoys me too is that I wanted to see Nintendo going out to prove to us, the consumers, like why we need to purchase this, and that's why I wanted them to talk about it so long ago. Them revealing this trailer 4 days before their investor meetings almost seems like, well, we just have to do something to prove to our investors. Which I get it; they're a company;
Well,
they
no,
need
I
to
don't
reel
think
in their
it's. I don't think it
investors.
was to prove to the investors. I think it was to. I think information on the NX is going to come out regardless at this meeting, and so they wanted to get public face in first.
I get it, but
Um,
I still wish they would have done it like 2 or 3 months ago. I really do, and I'm not trying to. I'm not going to continue harping on that after today. What's done is done, whatever. But I
right.
really think it would have been better suited for them to talk about it, to
It's.
show specifically what we saw today. If that was going to be their initial reveal, just this quick 3 to 4 minute trailer, I think this could have been way better suited over the summer at some point, or rather that be around E3 or even in July
I
or
mean,
August.
it's. It works both ways because I mean, kind of like I said about Fallout 4. Here's Fallout 4. It's out 6 months later. The hype machine started going right then, and a lot of people were very excited about such a quick turnaround. And I think it's a delicate balance, and it goes both ways. You're absolutely right. If this happened 2 months ago during E3, this would have been great.
I
We'd
feel like
the hype train would have begun sooner. We would have had a 9 month window
I
of
feel like
building up hype.
consoles are a little bit different though,
They are.
because
It's totally different than a game.
and I will say especially a console that's not releasing around the holidays, because now people who want this, kids who want this and stuff like that, hey, when's it come out? Spring of 2017. Well, you better wait till your birthday. You better hope your birthday's in like spring or summer or something like that if you want this, because like kids can't really save up
I
money
don't think
this
kids are
fast.
the target audience for this.
That is another good thing that we can get into in a second.
Um,
They really did not focus on family at all in this trailer, which
They're focused
I
on
really
gamers.
liked. If they want to
They
win me
focused on
back,
gamers.
then that's a good start for
But
me.
back to the timeline and the financial meeting. The Tuesday is the financial meeting. I think we're gonna get a price out of there. I think
I
they're
hope
gonna
so.
give us. I think they're gonna give some more in detail specs about the system and the launch and things around it, like the launch window or lineup. And then I think
You think lineup?
not lineup, like franchises that will be there close to lineup.
Okay.
I think they say the next 3D Mario will be on NX, which is a obvious statement. And it will be close to launch. I think they say things like that. And then I think closely afterward, we get word on a Switch Focus Direct sometime in November, December. Like that's when that comes in, because then that's 3 months before launch. I think after the investor meeting, we're going to hear relatively soon about a specific Direct where we're going to be able to hear and like see this thing in detail.
Cool. If it was at the Game Awards, which I will be going to, I would
Cool.
like to see something about it there. But actually, Reggie's pretty good, on good terms with Mr. Jeff Keighley. I'm pretty sure. So they might be there.
Why is she barking so bad?
I don't know.
Swear.
Last episode it was my dog. This episode it's
Literally,
your dog.
Abby, the dog that I live with, Abby, she like is the quietest, just follows you around, very people person dog. Only time she ever barks is when people are walking out in front of the house, and she doesn't go to the window to watch people and then bark. She'll be up in the front area of the house, and like someone will leave, so she'll look to follow them out of the house, and then she'll just bark at anything that walks by.
Maybe she's
It's
just
a very
happy
weird.
about this NX reveal.
Maybe she is. But anyway,
okay.
yeah.
I want to ask you something here though. This kind of ties in to what we're talking about. So because you're talking about the investors meeting and things like that, and
Yeah, I
I
think
think
that
we'll
obviously we're going to get more news
we
about
can
it
get into
here.
that in a second because I have a question kind of dealing with Zelda, but we'll save that for later. It's one of my notes I have here, and it's something I've got my fingers crossed for personally. But so yeah, the trailer base. Well, if we haven't described it already, it's basically the Switch is portable. It's a home console that you can also take with you on the go. It's the thing we've talked about on this show for the better part of 20 months. For the like, honestly, if not before that, this is what everybody's been expecting this console to be.
It is a hybrid. It is a hybrid console. It has a dock station that you plug the screen / system. The system itself is in the screen. Yes. You plug it into the dock.
I'm curious what the dock. What's up?
Oh, we're gonna talk about the dock. Don't you worry about the dock. We're gonna talk about it.
Curious what's up with that.
But the system itself is in the screen, and then when you're ready to leave, you slide the controller halves onto each side, and then pick the screen up out of the dock, and it's supposed to instantly switch from TV play to your
watch that trailer. You
screen.
Can see what's up with it. I doubt. Yeah, I doubt you're listening to this podcast, and this is where you're getting your hot NX news. But I'm sure you've watched the
hottest NX takes. So yeah, that's what the Switch is. That is what the Nintendo Switch is. It's pretty darn cool looking.
So knee-jerk reactions. Let's just do this. You obviously like it. I've obviously said I'm optimistic.
I do like it. Knee-jerk reactions are the screen is bigger than I thought it would be. I thought for some reason this was
how big is it, by the way? I've been trying to figure this out.
They didn't give a specific size. They haven't given any technical specifications on size, power, or anything like that.
It looks a little smaller than I thought.
Really?
Honestly, yeah.
It looked in his hands and in the display, it looks bigger than I thought.
I was hoping it'd be about the size of an iPad. Maybe it is. Maybe.
What kind of iPad? There are 3 different types of iPads.
When they hit the little kickstand later on in the basketball scene when they're playing the basketball, when they hit those down and put them on the park bench, by comparison to like the size of the humans next to them, it looked really small to me. So,
but in their hands, it looked really big. I don't know. Again, we gotta wait till we get actual sizes, but at least to me, it seemed bigger than I thought it was going to be. I like the controllers a lot.
I don't. This is where we can talk about this.
Well, I like the controllers a lot because there are a bunch of different controllers. And
typical Nintendo.
Yep, and I think it's very unique, but in a non-gimmicky way. I actually find that this is probably the purest gaming system they've made since the GameCube. Like this is straight
probably.
This isn't the gimmick. Is you can take it on the go. Yeah, this isn't waggle your wrist. This isn't like you have to. This isn't an integral part to the gameplay experience. This is an option of how to play.
Yeah,
and I like that. This is back to GameCube kind of roots, and I dig that. I love the GameCube. But initial reactions are the screen is bigger than I thought. I think it looks sleek. I think it's a sleek design. I think it's a very mature technological design. It doesn't look like a child's plaything.
It's very mature.
It looks like it. Yeah, I mean, it's a mature design for a piece of tech. It's cool. And I like the controllers a lot.
I think the controllers look incredibly cheap. That was my knee-jerk reaction when I saw it. I think the Pro controller looks solid, and I'm excited for that one. But I was never like a huge fan of the idea of the sliding on and off thing. It could work. Maybe it'll feel way more comfortable in my hands once I actually play with it. When he's sitting on the airplane in the trailer and he's got one in each hand, I think that looks totally uncomfortable. And
no way, because I'm
the
total opposite. The airplane was my favorite part of that.
It doesn't look uncomfortable, but it looks like there'd be like a disconnect in my brain with how you'd be doing that. And I know we've had like the Wii U with the Wii controller and the nunchuck.
It looks like the nunchuck to me, just 2 nunchucks in your hand, but like more buttons. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then a stick on each side.
Yeah.
I think they look really cheap as far as the multiplayer stuff, like the turning it
Sideways,
sideways.
rotating
Oh
it.
my gosh, yeah, I
Um,
won't do that.
I won't say it looks cheap in that regard. I actually think they're going to be pretty darn sturdy. I think if it's
I
something
don't
that
think
you
they're
are
gonna like
taking,
fall apart or anything like that.
okay,
But I
because
just
I was
think
going to
it
say if you're
looks.
sliding these things on and off all day,
They just look very, very tiny,
they are
very tiny.
they look very tiny, and I'm worried about the comfort on them. I
I
was su-
I was
I
gonna
was
say I don't like
surprised.
the square size of the main controller too. I didn't know if you wanted to talk
Oh,
about
the
that yet.
square, like the
Like
slide
the
them onto the
actual the
adapter.
first controller he's playing with.
Yeah,
He slides
reminds
them
me
off
of
that.
that reminds me of the GameCube controller,
That's what a bunch of people have been saying.
and I like that a lot.
I think
But
that could work out.
the
But again,
sideways,
that's the one more than anything that I want to hold, because it looks bad because there's like the rounded back edges to it, and then it goes like rectangle right in the middle of it. It looks odd. It could
odd for
work
sure.
though.
I think it'll be comfortable. I think it will feel
I'm
fine in
hoping
your
it is.
hands. The sideways thing though, I've been looking at a bunch of different images since I got home from work and kind of different things. I was worried about shoulder buttons because in part of the trailer they're playing a Mario Kart game, and Mario Kart having the shoulder buttons is essential for drifting items and driving the car. And I was worried about only having one shoulder button because if you think about it, if when you slide them on vertically, there's a shoulder button on each one. But if you take those off and rotate it sideways, you lose the second shoulder button. But watching people play it in the pictures and in the videos, it does look like in the part where it slides into the actual screen unit, it looks like there are buttons there, which means it's going to have two shoulder. Like these will be full featured controllers. They look extremely tiny, and they look like hand cramps waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not particularly excited about that.
Luckily, there is a point later on when you see all the Splatoon boys and girls in their back locker room preparing for the Splatoon tournament.
Yeah.
They've got their screens pulled up right in front of them, and you can see that they're playing with pro controllers. I assume you'll be able to tether four of those to a screen if you wanted to for some reason.
I think it'll limit to two.
That would suck. But
I think that
now let's say if I did go on an airplane though, at least I know I can use that for myself rather than the two, which I think separating the two, which I think looks uncomfortable.
So I think that actually looks pretty fun.
Like it'll be the savior here for me. Unfortunately, I know it's going to be a $60 add-on that I'm going to have to
and
get.
You know, the pro controller, even more so than the attachment for the side controllers and things like that. The controllers, they call them Joy-Cons, which I assume con is short for controller and joy is just for joy, I guess.
Joystick, joy controller. Yeah, whatever. There you go.
Joy-Con. There you go. Joystick. Cool. You're a much smarter man than I am. So the Joy-Cons, which are the attachable controllers, even more so than the square attachment that makes it look like a GameCube controller, I think the Pro controller is GameCube 2.0.
I think it looks like the Xbox One controller.
It does. I mean, it absolutely does.
I think it looks almost identical. They finally went with offset sticks. Hey, thanks for waking up, Nintendo. There you go. That's a huge deal.
Never bothered me the way it apparently bothers people, but I understand it. I mean, if you're going to complain about offset sticks, I would just point to the PS4 controller.
Again, they're right there next to everything. The fact that the sticks were up here and then the buttons were down
never had a problem with that.
It always it didn't work. It didn't work. No other controller's ever really done that. And I know
you're right. It just never bothered me, but I'm weird, I guess. The Pro controller it reminds me of GameCube 2.0, which I read an article, I forget from where, but someone pointed out this is like Smash Brothers saving grace.
Possibly.
Having the offset analogs means the C stick is where the C stick should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of what makes me a little bit excited about it.
You're talking about GameCube controller, though. Let's ask the important question. How am I going to be able to use my GameCube adapter on this machine, Max?
There are two USB ports on the hub.
Very, very interesting. Let's see if
Have you
it
seen the
has
picture?
full capability with all games.
Have you seen the picture though?
Yeah, I have
Okay,
actually.
because off on the back of the port there are two USB ports, and that's
That's
on one
interesting. I
side.
wonder if they actually will. Will I mean, we've theorized for a while that Smash 4 will be
Well,
coming.
there's been rumors of Smash 4, Mario Kart, and Splatoon coming to the Switch,
Yes.
and two of those games were
Gosh,
shown
that's
off
so weird to
today.
say. Yeah. Yeah.
Which Mario Kart and Splatoon? You want to talk about those right now?
I mean, I don't know what there is to talk about. I mean, they
They're
they
different. They're
showcase.
different games.
They are.
Oh, that's not Mario Kart 8. At least not the same
Mm,
one we're playing.
the Splatoon looked similar.
Um, uh, Apparently the Splatoon thing showed off a new map that's not in the game, and also character customization items, and then it looks like graphically better. Mario Kart, which ooh,
You're gonna
I'm
call it Double Dash 2, but there is no
it
Double
has double
Dash.
item management, so two items, and King Boo is in it. And the course they were playing was the
Yoshi's
Yoshi's
Island or
Island
something
one from the GameCube course.
Yes.
I'm not saying they go, this is Double Dash 2, here you go. I think this is, and I think Splatoon, and I think eventually when they show off Smash Brothers, is these are up ports of the previous games, and
Yep.
these are new NX features. And the NX features are double item management and new characters like King Boo. And in Splatoon, it'll be new maps and stuff. I think these are just up ports with more content
Yep.
than previous versions, and I'm
I
totally,
agree.
totally okay with that.
Yep, same here. People who have been saying no, don't put Smash. I've heard some people say they don't want a port of
If
Smash Bros on the NX, and I
Smash
don't understand that.
if Smash comes to NX and it just has more stages and more characters, I'm all for it.
If Smash comes to NX and is the exact same game that I currently have right this second, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it will look better at the very, very least.
Maybe, probably. I mean,
will.
probably. We can get into this is one of my big things later on that we can get into the
Okay,
power of the
but
console, but we can talk about that later.
It's there are some obvious concerns with that kind of stuff though.
While we're still talking about the controller, let's talk about what is up with the mini D-pad. What's the deal with that?
That's not a D-pad. It's a plus and minus button. It's what their start and select buttons have been since the Wii. Yeah. It's not a mini D-pad.
I didn't know what that was.
People are like zooming in going, what's this mini D-pad? But if you just zoom out, if you zoom out of the picture, it is a plus, and then on the other side of the controller is the minus button.
Whatever.
So it's just start and select. People are wigging out. I'm like, guys, it's not a mini D-pad. It's a plus button.
Go back to start. We need a select button. Save select. Select is dead. We need the select button coming back.
No, it's options and share and stuff.
And whatever the heck it is on the Xbox.
Yeah, it's like a double menu button on Xbox.
Something dumb like that. Yeah.
Yeah, snap or something. I don't know. It's the controllers I think are nice.
I think I like the Pro. That'll be my go-to. That'll be the one I play with the most.
I mean, the Joy-Cons, when they are when they're attached to the screen, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks like Vita 2.0. This is double analogs. This is double shoulder buttons. This is a portable
unit. And we all know how well the Vita sold.
Yes.
But
I'm just like talking about design.
We can get into that later as well. I think this will sell well. I think
it's fully featured. You're not going to be missing buttons. The controller experience, whether you're on the go or at home, is going to be the same. You're not losing buttons by taking it on the go. You're not losing functionality.
But you can lose a joystick, which is if you do the sideways play thing, which is interesting to me specifically.
Sideways play. When that would depend on the game. That would be limited to what kind of game you're playing.
Yeah, but obviously in Mario Kart it may not be as big of a deal. You're not going to be
playing Breath of the Wild with the sideways Joy-Con.
But in this they show off a couple people playing NBA 2K or what I assume is NBA 2K, and if by the way, it was an NBA 2K17. Okay. You would assume that you only need the one stick for that, but the right stick is typically like dribble moves, like crossovers and things like that. You can also shoot with the right stick a lot of the time. So there's certain games like that I think might be playable with one stick, but it may not be preferred. So that kind of remains to be seen with me.
Yeah,
What the
I think that
feasibility of
remains
that
to be
is.
seen for everyone.
That's the
But
smallest. I think that's like the most non-factor thing that I keep bringing up for some reason though. Like I don't think many people, if any, are going to be playing like that at all on this thing. Like that looks like it just oh,
I
we're
plan
trapped
on.
in a dark cave and we're gonna die. Let's play our NX for a little bit before we perish, and we'll play these with these sideways controllers because it's all that we have. Like I don't think many people will be playing like that
I
at
don't
all.
think so either. Um, so we talked about the controllers. You want to talk about like the
Let's talk about
design of
this.
the thing
Let's talk about the
itself?
screen. I want to talk about the screen
Yeah, okay.
because my big question with this is it touchscreen? One, that's
Mm-hmm.
part one. Part two, and I think I just kind of answered part two in my head. I was gonna say, is there any way to tether this to your TV, possibly wirelessly, to where you can still play it almost like a Wii U if you wanted to where let's say you are playing Zelda and you want your items down low and you've got the screen right in front of you, but you also have it thrown up on your TV screen at the same time. Obviously, according to the trailer, it looks like you will need to dock it in order to play on the TV. But I'm
Uh-huh.
curious as to if you
I
would be able to hook it up, if you would be able to hold the tablet itself in your hands and also have it on your TV at the same time and turn it into kind of a Wii, basically what the Wii U's been.
I for number one, is it a touch screen? Nowhere in that preview trailer did they indicate
No,
touch functionality at all, which I think was smart.
but I have heard a
But
lot of
there have been
conjecture today
rumors.
with people saying it is.
There have been rumors before this and now today, when we're recording this, that it is a touchscreen. And based off the accuracy of the leaks before today, I wouldn't doubt I wouldn't be surprised if it was a
I wouldn't
touchscreen.
either. I
Now
kind
I'm
of
not
don't
bothered
want
by
it.
that.
I don't. I'm not bothered by it, but I kind of don't want it to be a touchscreen. And the reason is because of this. I want this screen to be nice and pretty, and I want to be playing some pretty looking games on this thing on the go. And I would prefer not wiping my grummy, gross hands on it constantly. Again, maybe of
No,
course not every game
it
is
doesn't look
touch
like every
based.
game does that. You know, honestly, I hope it is a touchscreen just for games like Mario Maker. I hope they make a Maker franchise, and that requires touch capability. But clearly, they didn't. It didn't.
Zelda Maker would be
At least today, they were not showing any touch
no,
functionality.
they didn't.
And I mean, yes,
And you assume
having
they
your
would
fingerprints on
have.
touchscreens is lame. Like our Vitas or our phones get grimy and oily. But I think it's something that,
You assume they would have showed
we've
maybe like
adapted
a
to.
stylus port or something on the thing
No,
if it
no
was
stylus port.
touchscreen.
Yeah, so
So
we will see. As
the
far as
jury's still out on
wirelessly
that.
transmitting, I don't believe that.
I don't think so either. Like again, that was a kind of a question I had brought up that I thought may be possible because I mean, the one thing that I will give the Wii U credit for is Zelda's a really nice game to play on the Wii U just because you got your items down low and then you got items in your map down low and then you got
Keeps your screen not cluttered. There's no
keeps your TV screen not cluttered. Yeah. So
better visuals.
It works out pretty well.
We'll see. It'll be interesting. There's what about like so you wanted to talk about the screen and stuff. What about like the design of the rest of the system itself? It's got a custom NVIDIA chip. It's got the dock that you and I both wanted to talk about. And it's got some funky. We've briefly touched on co-op with split screen co-op, but there's other ways to do co-op play. What do you think about all that jazz?
What do you mean by co-op play? Like linking the two things together, like they show in that basketball?
You can link. It looked like up to 4, possibly more, switches together and play co-op that way on individual screens.
Now, here's my next question: do we have to call this? Is it Nintendo Switch? Is it just Switch?
Because I think it's Nintendo Switch. I think it's Nintendo Switch.
Okay, so when I was writing the description for this episode, I wrote, the NX has been revealed after 20 months of anticipation. We now have seen the first of NX's next console called Switch. I just wrote called Switch. Is it the Switch or just Switch? The world may never know.
I think it's just called the Nintendo Switch.
I guess we call it by the full name. I don't know.
I mean, people will just call it the Switch, but I think legally they have to call it Nintendo Switch. It's kind of like how they how beer companies don't spell the word light.
Lite. Yeah.
Light, they spell it Lite. That's because they can't copyright just the word light in its regular
Yeah.
connotation. So I think
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch is what they own, and so that's what Nintendo will always call it. But also, Nintendo never called the N64 N64, especially in the beginning. They called it the Nintendo 64. So
To
I
make
think
to
this is
make
a
sure to
similar
mention that to
situation.
everybody. Yes.
Uh, so, but yeah, you can essentially tether. It looks like up to four of them and play games together. I think that's pretty cool. That reminds me a lot of the DS, like wireless play together. I'm curious if it will support the equivalent of single card play that the DS has, where if one friend has the game, the rest of you can play it together, or a lighter version of it. Like I remember Mario Kart DS.
Yeah, that would
One
be cool
card
if they brought back download play or whatever.
Yeah, download play, which is on the 3DS. It's just it would be interesting to see that in a
Kind of
console
buried.
space.
Yeah.
Not really. It just depends on the game. Like Mario Party is very heavy about single card play in that game. So I'm kind of curious how that will work. I'm curious about any lag or like the type of connection, how
Oh, of
simple it
course
is.
you are, Max. Of course you are.
Well, in a
Kidding.
multiplayer setting, that's important.
I'm
And
kidding.
download
That's
play,
always your thing. But how
yeah.
will it run?
How will it run?
That's
These
the
are important
classic Max
questions.
question.
Um, it's it looks download play is so seamless. It's a person hosts, a person joins, boom, bada bing. I assume we keep that simplicity here. What do you think?
So. You would hope so. The multiplayer functionality for it is interesting. I'm hoping that it kind of does work like a DS. Like obviously they're merging both their home and mobile bases with the Switch. So I'm hoping they take a bunch of cues from the DS because I think it really does work well in a local space. Like I mean, even look at like Japan. I mean, supposedly I've never been there, but supposedly everybody and their mom plays freaking DS on a train or something like that. So I think it'd be cool if the Switch had most of the functionalities of what the 3DS has had. Heck, even Street Pass or something like that would be awesome as well. Like bring that stuff on.
Oh, I hope Street Pass is there or some sort of connected functionality.
Here's my other question though. Is that the thing? How is the memory stored on it? Is it stored?
That was another hardware thing,
or is it stored in the screen itself? Because I'm wondering, like, obviously they're gonna have cartridges, but
the Nintendo Switch uses game cards just like the 3DS does. Different shape. They actually remind me a lot of the Vita card. But I assume that save data and digital games are stored on the screen in the system itself, and then game cards are like the actual
yeah. I mean I do too, but I'm wondering
I'm curious how much
the downloads are gonna be.
I'm curious how much storage this thing has.
That one
we
and I'm
have it at 32 gigabytes, which is nothing. But the Nintendo has always been very open to SD card expansions and things like that. So, I mean, if it supports high enough SD cards, you can easily go out and buy a 64 or 128 gigabyte SD card super cheap. I'm not too stressed about that. I just do hope it has more storage than 32 gigabytes.
You would think games like Skyrim that they showed off are going to be massive downloads. Like even if it is a lesser version than obviously what we're getting on like PS4 or Xbox One, and even if a lot of it is stored directly on the card, because with how the PS4 and Xbox One are set up right now, they install a whole game to the hard drive, and then pretty much the disc is just saying, "Yeah, I own the game."
It's like a permission key.
Yeah, exactly. So even if a lot of the data is on the card itself, I'm curious as to how like digital downloads will work because we're slowly entering this, and this is again another one of my hesitations with getting excited for it. Like, is Nintendo going to finally nail their internet space with this thing? And that is what I wanted to see.
Ecosystem.
Because, and this sounds like this just shows to me how bad they are. If they could just get on a level that like the Xbox 360 was on with their ecosystem, I would be happy. And that's a console life cycle.
I do hope they have connectivity, like a unified account system that needs to be fully integrated. It needs to be able to keep track of your purchases. It needs to have cross-buy. Granted,
Cross-buy,
Well,
cross-save.
see,
You
now
need to
do
be
we
able.
need cross-buy and cross-save?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
What games are
Yes. Yes.
cross-buy?
Yes. Yes. Because I have already purchased games on your system. I assume those same games will be available on the Switch at some
What are
point.
you talking about? Virtual console?
Virtual console. I want my past
Oh,
virtual console games that
I'm
I have
sorry.
purchased to be able to
Yes.
come over
Okay.
to the Switch. So
No,
in
I
terms of that
100%
cross-buy,
agree.
yes.
Yes, I agree 100% with that. I was talking about like new shiny games, and
Yes.
obviously cross-buy is it needs to have a unified account system where it knows I've bought Super Mario Brothers 3 a million times, and it needs to just honor that. Now, will we end up having to buy these games again?
Probably.
95% sure, yes. Am I
Which
bummed out about
sucks.
it?
In which
No, 100%.
I am very mad about it. But see, that's one of the things that frustrates me with Nintendo the most is I don't think they harbor goodwill with their fans because of those small little things like that. And it's those like tiny little frustrations that like slowly build up and have made me really pissed off with Nintendo for the past 5 years or so. So it's just things like that. Like also another big thing that I would love to have, just like party chat. Like if I hop on my Switch and I see that you're online and I decide I want to hop into a chat room with you, like again, this is something we started doing almost 10 years ago with the Xbox 360. Like this should
I
just be a
mean,
thing at this point.
I guess I never really have used that stuff even back in the day.
I
The
used to
only time
use it on 360 a lot. I haven't
the
as
only
much this
time I'm
console
ever in
life
parties
cycle.
is when I play Destiny.
I don't really play with
So like
people
I
as
don't
much as I
find that
did in high
important. I
school.
would much rather have a built-in achievement system.
Yes. Now, if you wanted to see, and I've mentioned this before, if you wanted to see me freaking out at the reveal today, then that's what they needed to show to me. The achievements. That is,
I would, and
I don't want
I
to,
think
I don't
that's
want to
much,
say it. I don't want to
that's
say it's
important,
vital because it's
but
not,
it's so
but it kind of
nitpicky
is.
and personal preference that like that's a reveal, like an event thing. That's not a preview trailer.
That to me is so it really is like that is vital to me with gauging my interest and how I feel about these games. And again, that
Achievement
seems
like trophies are amazing.
that seems like a dumb thing to say is vital to me, but as a person, I'm totally like obsessed with trophies and achievements. I love them, and it expands the life of a game for me. If you give me a little check off list and say, hey, can
do
you
all
do
this.
3 consecutive triple jumps with Mario in this new Mario game? I'm gonna try to do that or something like that. Like it's just I like it. It's rewarding. It's satisfying, and I really hope they do it. But I
Yeah,
don't think they're going to. I really don't.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Let's talk about the dock,
The dock,
the
the
TV
dog,
dock.
the dire dock. All right, what about it?
It is if you look at a picture of it, the screen fits in pretty well. But if you compare like the width of it, it's about two of these screens thick. The screen resides in the front half, and the back half is where, in at least some pictures, you can see the USB hubs. And I assume that's where your power cable comes in to keep the thing charged, and your HDMI cable to your TV. But what's all that extra space for, dude? Do you think
This is my question.
Do you think this TV dock is going to beef up the system, and give you a better experience, at least technically, on the TV? Or do you think it is solely a visual hub? Like whatever you see on the screen in your hands is exactly what you see on the
It's
screen.
obviously got to charge the tablet slash.
It's got it's going to keep it
whatever you
charged. It
call it.
keeps it juiced.
So that's going to be the charging hub for sure. As far as what else is in it, I don't know. This is what I've been trying to figure out is like, where are the games stored? Like, are the games, is there going to be possibly like storage on that itself? Let's say, here's a hypothetical. Let's say the system itself has 250 gigabytes of storage and you can download as much as you can on that, but the tablet itself, let's say that has 50, So when you're running out, you can throw 50 gigabytes worth of stuff on that
Uh,
and transfer it back and forth.
I don't
I don't
think
know.
that would happen because that would make it too complicated and that's not unified. That's segregating your content.
I guess, but
That's me grabbing my Switch quickly to leave the house. I'm going on a road trip and I go, crap, I forgot to transfer Breath of the Wild over.
well,
Like
it's no
that.
different than saying like, "Oh crap, I forgot to grab my Mario Kart 7 cartridge out of my 3DS case or something like that." I'm
Yeah,
trying to think of it in like a digital mind space because I know 5 years down the road we're going to be so much more
yeah,
into the
but
digital purchases.
I see that as like total segregation of its thing because we've got to go into this. This is a home console first. This is not a portable that does home console stuff. They have been very adamant in the way they presented
I've
it
already
today
said that to many
as a
outlets
home
today.
console. And I think that actually the dock does give it a little more power. I think you primarily are going to be playing this thing on your TV. I
I do
don't.
too. Well,
And I think
that was my knee jerk reaction this morning. I said it looks cool. I like that I can take it on the go. Probably won't though, so I'll probably play
like I
it
said, it's
mostly at
not a
home.
crucial gimmick. It is something cool and potentially handy. I think it's going to be great for road trips and things like that because like the dock is something you can throw in your backpack, but you can play the thing in the car. Um, but kind of back to the segregation of storage, I think that would segregate the it would break apart the experience. And I don't think you want that for your consumer. I think you want a clear storage message. Um, at least in that regard. I think the thing has more power in there for sure, though. Um, it's
Yeah,
using a custom
yeah.
NVIDIA
I mean,
chipset, which
so
is the
here,
first time ever Nintendo has cared about their chipset. Like said, here we go. This is our chipset. This is the first time ever they've like boasted about not boasted. Boasted makes them sound prideful or like, oh, look at what we
yeah,
can
the
do.
first time
It's
they've
like
just
they're
openly told everybody, "Hey,
like this is
here's
a
what it is."
chipset that is it's good. I've read obviously we don't have exact technical specifications, but some early predictions, insights from people that are way even more tech minded than I am are saying this uh, has Xbox One potential power.
I don't see it. I don't see that
That
from the
chipset,
chipset I've looked at and from the things I've heard from people. It's like it's not going to be that powerful, like at all. Especially
that's what I've read. Obviously, I don't think it is. That's what I've heard and read. Um,
well
it
because
is.
they have
I've
to
read the
again while it
NVIDIA
is a
blog.
home console primarily, like they still do need to make it accessible to take on the
On the
go
go and
if you
not kill your battery. The
and not
chipset
kill your
sounds
battery
very,
and
very
run constant
optimizable.
games.
It sounds very customizable from the devs standpoint,
Yeah.
which I think is all very good to optimize that battery life, which we have no idea how bad that battery life is going to be.
Okay, so going back to the actual tablet itself for a second, here's a question I forgot to bring up, and we're talking about the dock, so this can work. How the tablet going to look? What resolution is it going to run in when you are?
720.
Have they said
Oh,
that?
wait, are you saying on the go?
Yes.
720.
Did they say that?
No, that's one of those things that like came from the same set of leaks.
That's what I was hearing today as well.
I'm
I heard that it would
totally
be
cool with
1080.
that.
I heard that it would be 1080p on your TV and then
TV and
720p.
720. That is a
Fine with me as
compromise
well.
I'm cool with because I'm taking it on the go. It's
Yeah.
I'm not dying for the top graphical experience on my portable, but if I can plug it into my TV and it has better visuals, like that's it. Maybe things run smoother, but it just looks better.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a trade off I'm cool with.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, like you said, trade off. That's the key word. If you want to be able to take it on the go, sorry, you're not going to
It's
be able
not
to
going to
play it in
look as good.
1080, and you should expect that. So
I mean,
I was curious
look at
what
the
you'd heard
Vita.
from them.
The Vita is gorgeous. And granted, that's because it's an OLED display and it's got a lot of power in there.
Yeah.
This is an LCD, so it's not this would be the equivalent of a Vita 2 type display. This is not OLED, which is going to keep the cost down. I also think if the storage is 32 gigabytes, and expandable through SD cards, I believe that was another decision just to keep the cost down because if this thing, this thing does have the chipset, seems to be a very nice piece of hardware just from like a design and technical standpoint. And if they want to keep the price down into our sweet spot, which you and I think is between 250 and 300,
I'm leaning towards 300 personally.
I was going to say after today, I'm leaning toward 300 as well, which I'm fine with. That's a sweet spot. But I think to keep that cost down and to keep that entry point around there, which is not comparable will work, but like it's competitive with PS4 Slim and Xbox One S, both $300 boxes.
And it's doing something that neither of those can do. So, which is
right, and it has, yeah. So I think that is the competitive and smart sweet spot, and I hope it is that much.
Let's move the conversation to something that we've brought up but haven't really touched on a whole lot at this point, which is battery life. This is your main concern, and this is one of my big concerns as well. What is the charge going to be with those controllers? Because obviously those can be wireless and independent of tablet itself when you hook those up. What kind of charge are the controllers going to hold? What kind of charge is the tablet itself going to hold when you're away?
Are the controllers charged, or do they run off batteries?
That is also a good question. Battery life in general, whether it's a charge, it's still a charge. But what is the?
If they run off batteries, talk about a throwback that would be. But also that would mean when tethered, like back to the airplane example where he was playing wirelessly with the controllers and the display was on the little kickstand.
There's no way you'll be able to play that wirelessly.
I'm just saying,
airplanes.
I'm just saying, if it was wireless, that's sucking battery out of the system itself. Like you got to think of it almost like an electric car.
No, I agree. If you are,
it's like everything you do is draining battery from it. Whether that's
if your controllers were to run out, if you were playing wirelessly, like you could see him doing there in the plane, and your controllers ran out, I would assume you'd be able to slap them onto the ends of the tablet, and it would start charging. But then, of course, probably going to drain your tablet battery faster. I'm really curious.
I think it's a different way around. I don't think if they were attached to the system, I don't think they charge. I think that they become analog inputs in that regard. Like that way they function just like a button. That way they're not using battery.
But I'm wondering if it would take.
I hope they designed it with optimization in mind.
Yeah, that's I didn't mean to say that it would charge it necessarily. You probably could, maybe we'll see. But I'm wondering if you do play it like that, if it does drain the battery more. I'm curious.
Yeah, I do think the best. This is the best I could possibly see it.
I've got a number
7 hours.
I was gonna say 5. Honestly,
okay.
Like that, I mean, think about it with even like iPads. The iPads have a pretty decent lifespan in terms of the batteries.
Video game,
but once you turn on a video game, if you start playing like a what is the stupid Infinity Blade? Yeah, once you turn on Infinity Blade or something, boom, your battery's getting sapped, and that is not.
And
Infinity Blade is not this Breath of the Wild. So
exactly, I do think 7 is as high, like the very top. I could see this thing go. Like if you had it on airplane mode. I don't even think
the Vita goes 7. I think the Vita maybe gets 6.
If you put the Vita on low brightness airplane mode, you can get that thing. You can get that thing for a good while. I think the Switch, like airplane mode, low brightness, everything you could do to conserve battery. I think 7 is the most. 5 is what I'm expecting. If there's anything above that, I'd be astounded. I'd be so happy to hear anything better. I'm curious.
I think it's lower than that. I really do. I think they'll say 7 to 8, and then it'll be one of those things. It's like in reality, it's 5 or
5
4.
to 6.
Yeah. Because that's how those things typically end up being.
This just popped in my head. Do you think when you take it on the go, do you think it has like a charging cable? Like something you can just plug into the wall to keep the
I would
actual
hope
system
so.
juiced?
Similar to like a 3DS charger. Yeah.
Now, don't you worry though; they won't include it in the
They won't
box. You
include
got
it
to
in
buy
the
the
box,
charging
though. You
cable
gotta buy it
separate.
separate. I would hope so. You would think for sure. Like you can't have the stupid dock that's connected to your TV be the only source of charging the tablet.
But see, that's something crazy Nintendo would do.
It is something crazy that they would do. Like that wouldn't shock me at all, and that's why I'm like very cautious with my expectations for
like
this.
the battery life is legitimately my biggest concern. It's also like when you think about it, it's also kind of a weird concern to have because again, this is a home console. In theory, at least for you and me, this thing's gonna be plugged into our TV.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be touching
90% of the time.
I may take it to school every now and then or something like that. Honestly,
I think in the beginning, I'll take it some places. I'll show it off.
Yeah,
that type of stuff. But
I may play like indie games and stuff like that on the go, or maybe I will play. I can.
You'll try
only
Breath
see.
of the Wild on
I'll
the go.
try it on the go, and then I'll be like, no, I want to play this on my TV back at home because it looks prettier and it's more fun.
Again, so battery life is going to be very. It's weird because it's not as important as it could be because I think a lot of people will keep this plugged into their TV most of the time.
Yeah.
But it also is the gimmick, and I feel like when I say gimmick, I mean it sounds like a dirty word, but this is probably the best gimmick they could have come up with because it's non-essential.
And it's merging
battery
both
life.
Of their,
and battery life is essential to that gimmick.
Yeah.
No, so I'm concerned more so the price, more so than technical specifications. We will see. Hopefully soon we will get lots and lots of details about this thing. But battery life is my number one.
Let's talk now. Let's transition to talk about the games. Like we already talked about Splatoon and Mario Kart. Those were the ones we saw. We saw 2K as well. We saw Breath of the Wild. We saw a couple new images from that. Looks cool. You're shooting a big old giant with an exploding arrow or something like that. Looks cool. We also saw Mario.
You forgot
we saw
Skyrim.
Mario. We saw Skyrim, which we talked about.
Yeah.
We'll get to the third party stuff in a second after this. We saw a new 3D Mario.
2 tiny clips of the 3D Mario game.
Just 2 very quick shots.
What'd you think?
Snippets.
What based off that perspective?
Glad they're going back to that perspective. I'm excited for it. You think it's a launch title. I still think you're out of your dang mind if you think it's a
I didn't say launch title.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Say that.
I have video proof. We're on YouTube somewhere. I know you said that like 2 episodes ago. You said you thought 3D Mario was going to be. You said launch titles.
Okay.
Zelda.
I thought you meant today. I was like,
no. You said this a few episodes ago. I don't think it's a launch title. That's always been my stance. I knew they would have one in development, and obviously they do. But I'm excited for it.
I think their big launch title, though, is going to be Breath of the Wild.
So this leads to another question I jotted down, which is...
Oh, wait. Well, should we finish talking about Mario then? I'm sorry. I didn't want to like totally...
Well, we can come back to it in a second, I guess. Let's just touch
talking about Mario.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's stick with it. It looks...
We'll break down all 3
like,
seconds we've seen of it.
It looks a lot to me like 64.
Looks a lot like 64 to me as well, which is a good thing.
Which I think is a great thing.
What's up with the Western aesthetic in that one shot? Looks like he's about to run.
That's a level. I think that's like a type of. I think it's a theme in the level. I think this is a Mario with. I mean, actually, all the 3D Marios have like themed levels, but
yeah.
This is
cool. I thought it. You know what I thought it was at first?
I did think the camera was positioned like very low, like very square. Like Mario's back is the center of it. Granted,
like almost
this is a 3D. This is 3D Mario. You'll be able to control the camera and just swing it around. But she was playing Mario very weird. She was like, "I'm gonna keep the camera square in his back."
She waved to her friends out the window, and then she went over to her friend's
party.
House and went to a little roof party because you can't just go socialize with your friends now. You got to take your NX with you everywhere because it can go anywhere.
I take that NX with me everywhere.
We're still gonna call it NX forever. Gosh dang it! It's gonna be a hard transition.
It's like I told you before the show. It's
be hard to switch
like the
over. The Switch puns are coming up. I heard somebody say today that they should port over Witcher 3 and just call it Switcher 3. They're like, hey, if Skyrim's coming, then why can't Switcher 3?
If Witcher 3 was on NX, if I could take Witcher 3 on the go,
and it drained your battery in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, who cares? That
We
game
got
on the
2.5
go.
hours.
That game on the go would be crazy.
We'll
I would get so much more done. I could just like knock out mini side quests on the way, and side quests.
That'd be fun. That'd be nice. Play it on the
like,
road. Play it while you're driving.
Yeah.
Drive with your knee.
Drive with one hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Play Witcher with the other two.
Mario.
Yeah. So Mario. Not a whole lot to talk about. We saw Bullet Bill. We saw Mario running.
There's some gold rings.
We saw gold rings.
Sonic crossover confirmed.
It's Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2020 or 2018.
I'm curious. There's a tiny bit of me that filled with doubt that just says that was just Mario conceptual footage. Like that's not even close to what the game actually is going to be. Like the game is going to be
towards that as well. That's like when we saw the Zelda Wii U tech demo.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yep. Like this is never coming to fruition. I was very worried about that. Like there's this tiny piece of doubt.
I think that was the one little breadcrumb they threw at us, and they're trying to totally throw us off the trail, and we may not hear about that game.
They may. We may not even know what Mario is from.
It looks cool though. The fact that we just know they're making another legitimate 3D Mario makes me very happy, because that behind Zelda
3D Mario, I just say another 3D Mario because 3D World was legitimate.
3D World is different no matter what. Hey, my Wii U just pinged at me. So I say legitimate 3D, 3D because those are the better ones, and it is a legitimate 3D one.
I'm not saying 3D World is
it's a solo game, and that is, I think, what I'll say that a solo 3D Mario game. How's that? Is that better?
It's 3D World. I played it all by myself, and it was great.
It's multiplayer. Yeah,
it has multiplayer in it. Not a big deal. You do not just because it has multiplayer doesn't mean you have.
I know, but that was like the main thing they pitched. Like there's like there's like 8 characters on the cover of that game. They're trying to.
You only can play as 5, and one of them is unlocked in the end game.
Actually.
Anyway,
my wife. Let's talk about Zelda though, and let me ask this question, which is the question I want an answer to desperately. Is this game coming out on launch with the system? You would have to think yes.
Emphatically yes.
You have to think so.
The very first thing
it is. That's the first
Zelda. The dude sitting there neglecting his dog, which is indicative.
His dog's dying. His dog looks like it hasn't ate any food in like 8 days. So.
Which is indicative of how much this game is going to suck you in. Your pets are going to die. And then he's like, all right, dog, I'll take you outside. And then takes his game with him and goes. And then he just
sits on a park bench. I think his dog runs into the street, gets hit by a garbage truck or something like that.
Exactly. But he doesn't care because he's riding a pony.
The next shot, you see him and he's in the vet, and the vet's coming up to him. He's like, we're going to have to put your dog to sleep. And he's like, oh, that's fine. Okay, and he pulls a switch out of his backpack and starts playing it again. And then you hear them euthanize the dog in the background. And it's like,
absolutely. Breath of the Wild is a launch game. This is Twilight Princess all over again. Twilight Princess was a GameCube game that they ported to the Wii and then was at Wii at launch. This is the same. History is repeating itself. There's the Wii U version of this game, and then there's going to be the Switch version of the game.
The Switch
will come out with Zelda Breath of the Wild at launch.
Part 2. Can we please get a bundle? Please.
There have been. Listen to this. Will the bundle include Zelda? No, probably not. But listen to this. There have been rumors that the price is going to be $300. Like these have been rumors before today. Price $300 for the Switch system itself, and then there will be a $400. This is my word, Elite bundle. Where it will like come bundled.
It'll come with PSVR World. It'll come with the PlayStation camera. It'll come with 2 Move Wands.
Exactly, like a bundle that probably I can see the bundle coming with the Pro Controller. I can see the bundle coming.
That would be nice
with a game.
Logan would like.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get some sort of bundle for $400. I would love if this thing came out of the gate with an exclusive console already, and that was like the Wind Waker Wii U.
It'd be awesome. I'd totally be into it.
Oh, I'd buy that instantly. But I think the closest thing we get is a launch bundle that has some sort of game with it, and then potentially the Pro controller.
Yeah, that would be nice.
March is going to be stupid expensive.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, let's look at Logan's bank account in March. You ready? If you buy all of this, granted, the Nintendo Switch, Breath of the Wild, the Pro controller, Mass Effect Andromeda Collector's Edition.
No, I'll just get the game.
Really?
I ain't about that collector's edition life like you are.
I thought though, for a game franchise you love like dearly, I thought you would go.
It takes something extreme for me to buy a collector's edition, like Fallout. Okay, here's a real life Pip-Boy you can put on your arm. That thing's really cool. Do I wear it that often?
So what would it take for you to get the Mass Effect Andromeda Collector's Edition?
A 3/4 size model of the Normandy? Like, I don't know. Something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
But okay, so I retract the collector's edition comment. Mass Effect Andromeda.
Kind of Funny Live 3 tickets. Kind of Funny Live 3 airline tickets. Kind of Funny Live 3 hotel reservations.
Oh my God, you're gonna be so broke.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna be sitting here playing Breath of the Wild. I'm kind of just,
and I'll be able to take it with me.
I know you will. Go. It'll be great. You'll be playing Breath of the Wild on the plane to San Francisco. Oh, not to mention the Breath of the Wild amiibo as well.
Oh, fudge. Yeah. Gosh dang it. I canceled my Waluigi one the other day. I can't have ticky-tack charges right now. I'm really trying to save money. Like,
I know
really
you
trying
are.
to save money real hard.
Out of that lineup, though, I really do want the glow-in-the-dark Boo.
Yeah, that would be cool, too. I forgot
like, he's just because of glow-in-the-dark. I can't wait for the 20th anniversary Zelda amiibo.
Okay, so we got to start wrapping this up, sort of. Which means I want to get to
I've got a couple other things we want to talk about.
Well, the Cubs play in 25 minutes, so we got to move it.
Oh, my goodness. You didn't tell me we were on a deadline, like a schedule.
We're on a deadline.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, I think we've exhausted almost everything. I think the one other big thing we need to talk about.
Questions. So lay yours on.
The one thing we need to touch on, and the one thing I want to talk about, and I just want to slap everybody awake real quick today.
Oh goodness!
Is with third party, and I've been seeing this everywhere
minutes today. And 30 seconds later.
No, I'm not gonna. It's not a rant like that. It's just so after they revealed the console this morning, they also revealed a list of developers and publishers.
A substantial list,
a good list, a solid, noteworthy
big names,
big name developers and publishers who will be putting their products on the Switch. And everybody was freaking out and saying Nintendo has third-party support again. They're back, blah, 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 blah.
Would you mind if I just named off just a few big ones?
Name a few big ones. Go ahead.
Bethesda, obviously, we talked about that. There's EA is going to be on there. I'm just scrolling through the list.
Epic Games was on there. From Software was on there.
Konami.
From Software was the big one that I know people were
From Software, Spike Chunsoft, Square Enix. Listen to this super quick. Square Enix, and then today, Unreal Engine confirmed it's coming to the Switch. Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Switch. Give me another version of that game to buy. If I can take Kingdom Hearts 3 with me on the go.
Would that be the main version you play? Or PlayStation 4? You'd have to get it on PlayStation 4. That's...
Oh, well, I've told you this. I've said this on the show before. I will be buying all three. I'll buy each version of the game. I will buy the Xbox version of this game, and I will buy the PlayStation 4 version.
Okay.
And by
the time this game comes out, though, you'll probably be married with 3 kids, and you'll be buying like hundreds of dollars worth of Pampers every month. So you'll be able to buy.
And then I'll say, sorry, kids, we're going to use cloth diapers.
I still don't understand why you want the Xbox version of all just the put on your shelf.
I have a shelf over here with every boxed copy of every game.
Go ask for a display. Just steal the display case at GameStop if it makes you feel better. Because I know you're not going to play it on Xbox. Like, I know you're not going to do that.
I just very well might. might be obsessed enough to like 100% it.
I think it'd be funny I think it'd be really funny if it was like a bad game, like an objectively bad game.
If it was objectively bad, I think I would still try to defend it just because I love the franchise so much. But I texted you this the other day. There were Final Fantasy 15 previews that went up, and I was very surprised at the positivity surrounding this game. Like, very surprised. And that kind of gives me some hope for Kingdom Hearts again later on. Anyway, continuing. A lot of big names.
A lot of big name
parties.
Yes. So we've seen this before. We have seen this before. And everybody is freaking out today and saying that Nintendo is back because they finally have third-party support back, which is something that they really didn't have towards the tail end of the Wii's life cycle. Everybody thought they got it back for the start of the Wii U. Oh, man, they're bringing Arkham City to this. They're bringing the next Call of Duty. They're bringing NBA 2K13. They're bringing, like, all these third-party games. Everybody was hyped because they were coming to the Wii U, and then that quickly just went away, disappeared.
Do you remember the Wii U launch? We got Mass Effect 3.
We got Mass Effect 3.
Batman Arkham City.
Assassin's Creed 3 was on there as well.
Even Black Flag, your pirate
Flag
game
was on there as well. Yeah.
The Wii U had, like, the third parties were there. There was even the Ubisoft exclusive Zombie U.
Yeah.
Like
Call of Duty Ghosts was there.
The 3DS did this too. Do you remember the 3DS third party support?
Yep.
And let's be fair. So does Sony and Microsoft do these things. They may not slap up big logos everything, but they're like, we are working with these people. And
they do. But Nintendo specifically does theirs as almost like a, hey, we know third party support has disappeared compared to our competition. Don't worry, they're coming back. Like, they do it as like a selling point for their consoles, to where if Sony was like, and the reason you should buy a PS5 today is because we will be getting titles from EA and Ubisoft, they'd be like, well, of course you are, you idiot. Yeah, like, duh. Sony and Microsoft don't use it as a selling point like Nintendo does. And that's exactly what Nintendo was doing today, and saying, hey, all these developers are going to be putting their games on the Switch, which so this is my little tiny soapbox rant for this episode. I think we will get support for the first year or so with this. It's maybe a little bit longer with third party. And then I think we'll quickly begin to see it disappearing once again. And the reason I say this is because, Max, where's the industry headed right now outside of the Switch? What are the other companies doing right now?
Well,
like a huge
notably, Xbox and PlayStation are making beefier systems, the 0.5 iterations.
Exactly. We're headed in a power direction where the consoles are going to be more powerful than ever before. And people today, I kind of posted like a quick, like, dumb conversation or whatever, like I've heard people having today.
Was that real quick? Was that a real conversation?
That wasn't a real conversation, but I saw people saying it.
I could have believed that from our Discord chat. Like, I went in our Discord to double check to see if you just
no, that was just something like I have seen people saying all day. Oh, well, the Switch, the specs don't matter about that. The specs don't matter because people have been saying already, well, looks like the Switch isn't as powerful as the PS4 and Xbox One. And I've seen people say, oh, it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. Oh, well, I didn't expect that. It's not supposed to. That's while you may be right, and while Nintendo definitely isn't competing in terms of power, long game, I don't think that is good for them, because we're going to be getting the PlayStation 4 Pro and we're going to be getting the Scorpio within the next year.
Scorpio will be out next year.
Scorpio will be out next year. PS4 Pro's out in like 3 weeks. So these things are coming
soon. Wow.
Third-party developers are going to be creating such high-end versions of their games for these high-end systems that to then put it on the Switch, which is already weaker than what the current model of PS4 and Xbox Ones are.
I hear exactly what you're saying.
Very rough.
I hear exactly where you're coming from. A couple of things, though. Those versions you're talking about, the Pro versions and the Scorpio versions, at least currently, based on the marketing for both of those upgrade systems, they're talking about how they are going to have the games work on the PS4s and the Xbox Ones, and then, like, there will be patches for the fancier versions.
I know that.
So, at least immediately in those consoles' life cycles, developers will still be making these,
and that's why I'm saying we'll get about 2 good years with the Switch.
Well, also, kind of as you brought up with the Pro, you're like, this is double cert for people, and this is more work for devs, and they may not even want to support these 4K upgrades and things. So I think devs are actually in a very interesting spot with Nintendo's console coming out, and then now Microsoft and Sony pushing for these 4K capable systems. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how devs and publishers respond.
Well, regardless of the Scorpio and the Pro, I think PlayStation especially, we're almost 4 years into the thing's life cycle. I mean, this is year 3 that we're about to hit in November. And I think the writing is on the wall, even though they are coming out with the PlayStation 4 Pro. I think the system has 2-3 years left max. Maybe. Like, that is, I don't know how you feel about that, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a new system by 2019, early 2020, possibly.
For PlayStation specifically?
For PlayStation 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. No, that makes that time cycle makes sense.
So Nintendo's, I mean, Microsoft and Sony are basically on the same schedule right now. I mean, the Xbox One and the PS4 came out literally a week apart from one another. The Switch is kind of like fallen in between, and I think they're always going to be behind because of that.
The beat of its own drum,
and that's fine, and that's totally fine.
It does. But I think it would lose third-party support in that regard.
I think it's going to lose third-party support rather quickly if the consoles with Sony and Microsoft's consoles continue to progress in terms of power, which we have seen consistently for a while now. Now, I did want to point out, though. Sorry to cut you off, but the one thing I did want to point out, though, that I think is good about this is that because they are kind of getting rid of both the DS and the Wii U with one fell swoop, Nintendo is now going to have more in-house developers working on just this one system. So when they do, my mind, inevitably lose third-party support, there will continue to be a consistent stream of games coming out for this because they will have more in-house developers, which I think is good for them.
Think about this. The next Pokemon game very well could be coming to Switch.
Yeah.
It would be the first Pokemon RPG on a home console.
Yeah, which would be freaking
Animal
awesome.
Animal Crossing. Can you imagine Animal Crossing on this?
It would be Animal Crossing. Like, it'd be the same as all of the other ones.
But it would be the most addictive version of Animal Crossing because it has the beautiful visuals and like the comfort couch play of that game, but then you can also take it on the go because you're addicted like no one else. Mario, like this game has a lot of potential, and you're absolutely right. There's no longer a Fire Emblem game on the 3DS and then one maybe on a home console. Like the next Fire Emblem game, it's just
everything is on this now. I mean, that's how it seems. They have been kind of dodgy about questions today. People have been asking them what the 3DS's future is, and they've been dodgy on that.
Well, they've said in the past they are supporting the 3DS through the end of 2017. Like,
I've also heard insider people saying they want to get rid of it rather quickly, even though they're completely saying otherwise. I've heard they want to kind of start phasing it out.
Nintendo's supporting the Wii U until the end of 2016, but Wii U's biggest game just came out, and it's Paper Mario Color Splash. It's done. There's nothing else this year.
They got like a sports game or something coming out.
I'm just telling you, like they say they support something, and they technically do. Just doesn't mean a ton is there. It's going to be great to have Nintendo's first parties aligned on one system.
I agree, and I think that's going to be the saving grace for the console. Long term, I really do think third party support dies out for it. But like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing if they have more first party developers now for the system. I think it's a good and a bad with this system. I think third party will have its time on the console, and they'll consistently get third party throughout the console's life cycle. But again, just like with the Wii U, they'll have a lot of third-party games first up front on the system, I think, within the first year or so. But I think we really will, by 2019, see a pretty decent drop-off, if I had to guess. And that's not me being negative. I think I make a pretty good case for why I think it will happen.
Makes sense. I agree with what you're saying. I just don't agree with how fast. And like you said earlier, you think this thing will sell well, and so do I. I think this is going to be a Nintendo's homecoming, and I think it's not going to sell Wii numbers or anything like that. You know, it's not going to be the hardest thing to find since Kingdom Come, but I do think this is going to sell pretty well, and I think
it's going to sell well because it will have such heavier first party support this time around.
I think
like,
it's going to have such part of the reason why. Games.
Yeah, I do too. I think that is why it is going to succeed, though. Is if it is dependent on third party games, then it may be kind of rough. But because they're going to have so many developers now working on just this and this alone, I think that's a great long term plan for them, and I think it is going to work out. Like, is it going to do Wii numbers? No, but I think they can sell 50 million units, if not more.
Well, yeah, worldwide. I think this thing's going to be.
I think that's a good barometer.
Right? I also think it'll do pretty well in Japan.
I do too. Yeah.
I think just because of the hybrid thing. I know your Cubs are playing soon.
Yes,
but I did have a couple of more things I just kind of wanted to touch on and probe.
For sure.
So since the controllers like slide on and off, and this thing slides into a dock, do you think this thing's gonna have modular components, like modular add-ons?
I saw a picture about this earlier, like how you may have a different add-on for like a shooting game than compared to how you would for like a Pokemon game or something like that. Maybe you would have game-specific controllers or things like that you can add on. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. It's Nintendo, and I could see them trying to milk the most out of this. I mean, if they convince you to buy new hardware, that's more money in their pockets. Plus, it may be a better way to play a certain game. I could see it happening, kind of like with the Wii when they're like, hey, we got the Wii Zapper, we got the Wii Remote, whatever, this, and this. Like, they had like 50 million different add-ons for the Wii controllers, it felt like. So I could see a similar thing happening. I don't know if it'll be as crazy as the Wii, but I could see some specific controllers used for specific types of games, possibly.
I think it's an interesting ground floor for potentially modular add-ons, because since the controllers, well, we don't know if they're transmitting data or if they're analog or how they're connected specifically and the kind of data that they're transmitting, but it could be a very interesting type of add-on. And it wouldn't be the first add-on for home consoles. Look at the GameCube with the Game Boy Advance player, or the Super Nintendo with the Super Game Boy player. N64 had its add-ons through the controller port on the bottom.
Yeah.
Nintendo the Wii U really kind of is their first system that doesn't have add-ons.
They had the GameCube thing, but that was just
about it. But nothing really substantial.
I mean, it was pretty much their modular support with that was all
the
based
pad,
on
the gamepad.
Well, it was that, and then it was based on, hey, all the Wii stuff you already have can also work on this. So
that's true. That's a good point. So I thought that might be a possibility. Kind of curious.
I was gonna say, shoot your other questions at me.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten to all my stuff that I wanted to talk about.
I'm scrolling through just to make sure I don't miss anything in my notes. I know there's at least one more because I have it highlighted, but I wanted to check super quick. I know this is fun. We kind of mentioned it, but what do you think about game cards, like cartridges instead of optical media? I'm just kind of curious on your thoughts on that.
I don't know.
It reduces load times.
It does for sure. I don't have a problem with cards in general. I'm starting to like digital more and more.
Oh, absolutely.
With every passing day. So, especially the games that like I know I'm not gonna sell, like the Smash Bros, the Mario Karts, things like that. Even though I actually almost did sell Mario Kart the other day. Things like that I know I'll hang on to for the entirety of the console's life cycle. I'm thinking about just downloading. So I'm more curious to see how big these games are actually going to be in terms of download size, and then how much I can put on the system itself. So that remains to be seen. I'm fine with the cards though. The cards are totally okay with me.
Okay, cool. I'm in the same boat. I think I'm kind of curious because normally with my portable systems, 3DS and Vita, I buy my games digitally because I take that system with me everywhere.
Yeah,
so having all my games with me is really convenient and nice.
Yes.
And now I'm mentally kind of torn on this one because this is something I can take with me theoretically everywhere. Do I want all my games digitally?
How big will the cases be?
If they're tiny little carts, I think they're going to be DS size, which is going to be interesting for a home console game. We haven't had games in cases that size since PlayStation 1.
That'll be an interesting sell on people. I think they almost might stick with the big boxes, just not to throw the average.
GameCube games were the tiny optical disc, but in the DVD size case, so they could. I think that is a big waste of plastic.
How do you like the red aesthetic that they're going with here? Because obviously the cases are going to be
red.
Yeah, because I mean, during the trailer, the Switch logo or whatever is the white
Oh,
and black with the red
logo
background.
reminds me so much of Domino's Pizza.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
something like that.
I do love the click. I think you know how every time the logo came up it went
Yeah.
And it would click and slide down. I think that is great auditory and
Obviously,
visual
their
way.
cases are going to be red or the liner so.
Nintendo's going back to their roots with reds, yeah.
PlayStation's blue now. Xbox will be green. Nintendo looks like they're going to be red, which is
I like it. They're going back to their roots in that regard. I like it a lot. I've seen some color mock-ups, so like what the system would look like if it was different colors. I actually still prefer it in black. There was a Super Famicom inspired one though that was really nice. Last one. This was my kind of big one that kind of ties back into the controller, and we briefly sort of touched on it. But there was obviously no mention of Virtual Console whatsoever in this preview trailer. So we hope for a unified shop where our purchases are gonna transfer over from previous things and all that sort of stuff. But the Wii had a bunch of Virtual Console games that never were brought over to 3DS or Wii U. Wii U and 3DS are segregated still with different things. Do we finally see a unified Virtual Console bringing everything back into the fold? And is this when we finally see GameCube go to the Virtual Console? We have everything except GameCube.
I'm going to say
we
no.
have NES.
I'm going to say no on GameCube for now.
Really?
Because
I think
they could milk us.
Controller,
I think they can milk us with ports. I really do.
I don't think they would spend the money for like an HD upport of Melee. Also, the community would freak out against that.
For Sunshine.
I think there are a few games like they did
and
believe me, I would pay big bucks for those. They did with Wind Waker on the Wii U, which was a GameCube game. But they can't do it with the whole library.
They can't.
So I think that is the one missing gap out of Nintendo's first party that's not on the Virtual Console.
Well, in the same time, like you said, they wouldn't upport Melee, but would you buy Melee on Virtual Console as well? Because I wouldn't.
I probably would buy it just to have it, but there are like Melee is like the one almighty GameCube gem that like has lived on no matter what. But there are plenty of other games like Pikmin 1 and 2, Luigi's Mansion. There are plenty of Mario Party games, Paper Mario.
Plenty of Mario Party games. What are you smoking?
They're good. I think I can't remember which.
Actually, the GameCube Mario Parties were the best.
Yeah, all right. So just hold your tongue there, young one. I can't remember which number it was, but my friend had. It was either, I think it was 5, 6, and 7 came out on the GameCube, right?
That sounds right. I think it was 4 as well. 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Holy cow, that's a lot. I think
it was
5 or 6.
They came out with them in like there was a span.
It was one of the ones with the microphone. Remember the microphone for the GameCube?
Yeah, that was dumb.
It was 5 or 6, I think, that had the microphone in it. But my friend had that particular Mario Party.
I
remember playing that way into the night. That game was so good.
Was that the one with the sun and the moon? I think it was. Remember that where they always had like a theme for each of them. Like this time we're on Toadsworth's boat, and this time we're in the Old West or whatever. I think the aesthetic of the or not necessarily the aesthetic, but I think the theme of the microphone one was like the sun and the moon are like at war.
I'd have to look at the box art, I think, just to truly remember it.
I don't know. You played games,
but there's Double Dash, Metroid, the Metroid Prime.
There's a bunch of GameCube games.
Like there's a bunch. Do you think? I think GameCube finally does this. I mean, I think the 3DS can run
Metroid's not as much just because they have that trilogy on Wii that they've already ported over. I don't know. We'll see. I think it does.
I think they unify. I think everything. I think this is the one-stop shop for Nintendo.
If you could get a Virtual Console for GameCube games, or you could get full upscale ports of your 3 favorite GameCube games, which would you choose? Would you take the 3 full-blown remasters, or would you take support for all of them?
I think I'd take the port for all of them because that's more games.
I wouldn't. I would think I would do the 3 full-blown remasters. Dude, a full-blown remaster, 1,000 Year Door would be amazing.
Dude, I'm playing it again right now. Like, I just keep getting this itch and I keep going back. Believe me, there are very few people I think that would freak out more for a 1,000-Year Door.
I've never beat it. I still never beat it.
What?
I got to the final boss and it's hard. It's a hard final boss.
It's a tough fight. You remember on the way to the final boss how you have to fight Bowser for the final time?
Yeah.
The first time I beat the game all the way through, I don't know if you remember, but one of the crystal star powers, I think it was like the 6th one, you enter in like a random button commands, and if you execute it perfectly, you have a very, 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 very low percentage of killing everything.
Yeah, I do remember that.
But it takes up 6 of your star power, and like odds are it's not going to work. I tried it out on Bowser. Like, I think I was on my last legs, and it killed him. Yes. It was such a tense moment. But anyway, I do think GameCube sees the light of day again and gets the respect it deserves. I think with the Pro controller, with the Joy-Cons.
Be nice. It'd be good. It'd be a good time for it. It'd be a good time for it. Really,
I think